Welcome back to the Kia Hyundai channel. My name is Gabi.
I'm Michael.
And this is what I believe to be a nearly perfect vehicle. So it is the 2024 Kia Niro PHEV, which stands for Plug-in Hybrid Electric Vehicle. This is one of one, only one trim level of this vehicle, and it's fairly rare. But let me tell you, this is a car that deserves all the attention and more. If you're shopping for an SUV, I would say consider this. If you only need 5 seats, if you're looking for something that's a little bit more efficient, again, check this thing out. We're going to give you a full walkthrough of everything there is to know about this vehicle, and Michael, it's honestly quite impressive, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So today's video, we will start off with the exterior and the powertrain, talk a little bit about what makes a plug-in hybrid different than a traditional hybrid vehicle, and then of course from a regular electric vehicle. And of course, because it is a live stream video, we're here to answer your questions. So feel free to leave a chat in the comment box down below and let us know what you think of this car, or if you want to know anything else that we may have missed. Let's get into it.
Absolutely.
All right. Do you remember how to work the camera, Michael?
Kind of.
Kind of? That's okay. That's good enough. So starting off with the exterior of this vehicle, like I mentioned earlier, there is only one trim level and it's called the EX. And when I say this vehicle is nearly perfect, that's the only issue I have with this car. There's only one option to choose from. Mind you, there is some still very good equipment in this vehicle. There might be some things that you might think could be missing depending on how loaded you like your vehicles, or maybe even how basic you like your cars. So let's start off with what we have, of course. Looking at our headlights, it's a mix of LED daytime running lights and positioning lights with a regular halogen bulb. So, I mean, you truly do get the best of both worlds there, just like how you get the best of electric and gas. You get the heat radiated from the halogen or halogen bulb, and that of course is gonna melt a little bit of snow and ice, and then you get the stark brightness and beautiful cutoff of those LEDs for your daytime running lights and your positioning lights. For the front bumper of the car, even though it is a green vehicle, we don't have a very blank face. So there is still some design elements. Of course, we're still going to have some intakes for our actual cooling of this vehicle. There's a real grille. It's not just a solid blank stare, which we like to see. Beautiful Kia emblem in a low profile aluminum finish and a little bit of chrome trim around the front end of the car. I think it looks absolutely stunning. I will turn on the hazard lights for this vehicle just so you can see their glow, and then we'll pop the hood and talk about the powertrain, because that's truly where this vehicle shines. When you hear the range numbers on this car, but not just for the electric aspect, just the total combined gas and EV, I think you'll be truly amazed, because this vehicle, it may not look that crazy from the outside, there is so much on the inside that makes it truly special in the Kia lineup. So there you can see our amber hazard lights, or signal lights. We'll turn that off. And now let's pop the hood. So of course, with only one trim level, there's only one powertrain option for the Niro PHEV, and it's going to come with a 1.6 liter inline 4-cylinder gasoline engine. Now this is going to be giving you 180 horsepower with 195 pound-feet of torque. So a little bit more torque, and that is largely due to your electric motor on this car. I did say it was a plug-in hybrid, so for the hybrid aspect, we do get an 11.1 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion polymer battery to give you that range and, of course, EV boost. Now, when it comes to range, Michael, do you know how much all-electric range you get with this car on a full charge?
700, 780?
No, I like where you're thinking though. So you do get 55 kilometers of all electric range, and that is purely EV. So if you're running around the city, you can expect just to use that there. Michael, you were so close.
So close.
So close, not at all. Now, what makes a PHEV truly special is 55 kilometers may not sound like much. A lot of people who haven't done the research may say, oh, absolutely not. I'm not driving a car that I can only drive 55 kilometers. After that range is depleted, you still have a gasoline vehicle, and that gas tank is going to get you 835 kilometers to the tank, and it's only 37 liters of capacity. So extremely cheap to fill up, no premium gas needed or recommended for that matter, and you don't have to plug it in if you don't want to. So you still have a hybrid even if you're not plugging it in. But utilizing the 55 kilometers of all-electric range is very helpful, because you could go weeks without using your gas. I wouldn't say push it to months, because you don't want gas to sit there for too long, but nonetheless, it's pretty efficient, and depending on your lifestyle, you may never see a gas station for a while, which is very nice to see. Okay, wheels, 16-inch alloys. Obviously, these are the only wheel options for the Niro PHEV. We do get an all-season tire with them, and a little bit of plastic trim around the wheel well itself. For transmission on this car, I should have mentioned this while we were under the engine bay, or the bay, I should just say. We have a 6-speed automatic, so it's just a traditional smooth shifting automatic, no dual clutch, no manual gear shift, none of that. It's just a smooth shifting car. A lot of what comes to ownership on this vehicle is going to feel very standard to a traditional gas. Of course, you do have those EV components, but because you still have an engine, you will still be getting oil changes, so that is definitely something to account for when considering this car. And then let's go back to the exterior design. For mirrors, you do get body color, and on the side, you'll notice we have our signal marker. So that is also going to be a beautiful amber light, and of course, just a secondary indicator of what's happening around you. You do get a solar windshield on this vehicle, and located within the windshield itself is going to be a camera that's monitoring vehicles ahead of you for its forward collision avoidance system, but also the lanes ahead of you to make sure not only are you set straight in the middle of your lane and you're not departing, but also give you gentle corrections. So if there's an upcoming curve in the road, the vehicle will slowly take a little bit of driver assistance or driver control. And then from there, if there's ever something in the road, if I as a driver went to go veer away from it, the vehicle still listens to you. So it's not completely overriding you as a driver, and it's very easy to turn off if you're not a fan of it. Mirrors, or not mirrors, door handles. So Michael, if you get a little closer, you'll notice there's a little black button on the door handle, and that essentially is going to allow you to use your proximity key to not ever really touch your key ever. You can keep it in your pocket, keep it in your bag, press this to get in and out of your car, and then of course to start the vehicle, it is a push to start. You do also have remote start built into the fob itself, so you don't have to worry about getting a secondary party or third party I should say, to install it for you, and you have the option of starting your car from your phone with Kia Connect. All right, let's go to the back. Michael's grinning because he has a little special surprise back here. It's been a while since we've had Teddy in a video, but times are tough right now. As you can see, we have Michael as a cameraman, Charlotte's not here. It's stressful. So in the back area of this vehicle, you can see there's a lot of usable cargo room. This is obviously not an SUV, but it is a crossover, and being with the plug-in hybrid and having that battery and all that extra tech and goodies, we still have a lot of usable space. So behind our back seats, you can see lots and lots of usable room, a very large opening as well too. So unlike a sedan, if you're comparing it to some sort of hybrid vehicle, we actually have a very usable trunk area. Your rear seats do fold down in a 60-40 split, and to knock them down, you're actually just going to grab the top latches right there. And you can see they fold completely down. Underneath the floorboard of this car, we do have a little bit of storage space and a tire mobility kit. There is no actual spare with this vehicle. Check that out. And we do have some more hybrid components underneath. All right, let's get rid of this. Move him back. There is no power lift gate on the Kia Niro Plug-In Hybrid, but it is available on the regular full EV or just the regular hybrid, and that's another instance where I think this vehicle could improve upon, but this could also be the perfect trim for you. Let me know in the comments if you think this is already perfectly spec'd. And then price point wise, this vehicle is $38,595 Canadian. I think that is a fantastic price point for the vehicle because you also get a $5,000 rebate on top of that if you are in Canada. So that's our federal rebate, and then based off the province that you're in, you may even have a provincial rebate that you can stack on top. So that really brings the price point of this vehicle down to an amazing segment, far greater than even some regular non-hybrid, non-plug-in hybrid CUVs around this size. So it's very, very competitive. The style of this vehicle also turns heads, so it was redesigned in 2023 for its 2023 model year, I should say. And then in the past, we have had multiple trim levels for the Niro PHEV, so if you're comparing it to the Niro of the past, that might be a little bit disappointing if that makes sense, but there is some tech upgrades for this model year that we'll see when we hop inside. So Michael, do you want to give a quick pan of the interior of this vehicle before we hop in? The front interior. Thank you. All right, so you can see at a quick glance that we have a mix of cloth and leatherette for your front seats. Both seats are going to be heated 3 different levels, and they are manual seats on this trim. They are extremely, extremely comfortable, some very gentle bolstering, and because they do have cloth inserts, you kind of sink into the seat, so it's very, very comfortable for long drives. And of course, you can do long drives without stopping for gas at all, because 835 kilometers to a tank, that's a long drive. All right, so now that I'm in, you can see our seat controls. We have the actual bottom of the seat that you can crank up or push down. the backrest, and then of course, your distance with the bar in between. Steering wheel is also adjustable, and it's a fairly modern steering wheel. It's definitely a little bit different than the Niro of the past. So we have a very thick center with all of our driver assistance controls, including your smart cruise control with stop and go, our change for our center cluster. So if I switch between this button here, I can change my views. So between navigation, your engine temperature, your lane control, and just your vehicle's general range and trip info. Let me grab that from you, Michael, because this menu is actually quite interesting. If you've never had a hybrid or plug-in hybrid before, a lot of this might not make sense or might just seem like a lot, but I do think Kia makes it fairly user-friendly. So under the range tab, you can see just how long you have or just how much distance to empty you have between both electric and gasoline range. So where are we? Right over here. We can cycle between, check that out, and this is where I want to be. See your drive info. Now this car hasn't been properly driven or broken in yet, so its efficiency is not going to read as well as someone who actually daily drives the vehicle, drives it on the highway, drives it in the city. This vehicle has spent most of its life idling or just being on its PDI road test. On the right side, we have our media controls like voice commands, Bluetooth, and volume. And then on the bottom left, we have our drive mode select. So when I press this down, I can cycle between Eco and Sport mode on this car. Eco mode is just going to change the shift maps of the vehicle, so for the transmission, and then also the throttle sensitivity. So it's going to make the throttle feel a little bit more dull, and that's not bad. I mean, it's still fairly responsive and torquey, but it's not going to be as crazy as Sport mode, and that might foster a little bit of more efficient driving just for the driver itself, but it'll also encourage the vehicle to just be a little bit more efficient. Sport mode kind of changes things to make things feel a little bit more sensitive, which might feel better for some drivers, might not. But the best part is you can cycle it or just leave it in normal mode. The very center is going to have a 10.25-inch display. Now this is going to have wired CarPlay and Android Auto. We do have a specialized PHEV menu where you can utilize all these different options here to see what your eco driving is looking like, check out your EV range, and even charge manage, which means essentially set when you'd like your vehicle to start charging, set your departure times, and even change the charging current for AC charging. Speaking of charging a car like this, you may ask, do I have to plug it in? How much does it cost? And all that will of course vary on where you live and what your driving is going to look like. You could certainly have a plug-in hybrid and not have access to charging at all, if it makes sense for you. Now, for a lot of people, like my mom, for example, she has a Sorento PHEV but doesn't have anywhere to charge it at home. However, her workplace does. So she charges it as soon as she gets to work, and then on the weekend, if she goes over her EV range, she gets gas. It is what it is. She's still only getting gas twice a month though, and that's a much bigger vehicle. If you do have charging every single day and your driving is within the 55 kilometers of all-electric range, you won't be seeing gas for a very long time. So it can be as crazy or as simple as your lifestyle is, I guess, right, Michael? And you've sold Niro PHEVs before, right?
Yes, I have.
And all of our customers tell us different things. Some of them have told me I've gone 3,000 kilometers without using a drop of gas because they're driving so predictable, right? They're staying in their city, they're not doing too much. And I said, you should probably get gas soon. Use your gas. So it's a very interesting car. You can really change how it operates based off your life. It's crazy. We have built-in navigation, which is quite nice. That's going to show you charging as well too. And then you can utilize home charging or public charging as long as it's AC. There's no DC fast charging for a car like this. You do have your climate control menu on the screen, but a good thing about this is you can also utilize it on this flippable cluster, so that way you're not digging through screens while you're driving. Now I say not digging through screens, but this is still kind of set up in a digitized way. Here's the breakdown though. So at one point it's going to be infotainment and just quick access to things like your setup, your map, your nav, that kind of thing. But you can flip it and make it climate. Now, this may seem like a lot, but either way, whether you're keeping it in climate control or keeping it in infotainment mode, you can still access the opposite by utilizing the screen or your voice commands. It is dual zone, which means driver and passenger can have separate temperatures, or you can sync things up. And furthermore, you can set it to driver only. That way the vehicle isn't wasting extra energy to heat up or cool down the entirety of the car if it's just one person, which is pretty nice.
Gabby, they
Yes.
want to know if this vehicle is all-wheel drive.
No, it's front-wheel drive only. We do get a lot of questions asking about how a vehicle like this is in the winter, and the answer is really darn good. So we have had Niros of the past for our test drive cars, and we use those throughout the year, so that it's not like we don't do test drives when winter comes. There's not a bad amount of ground clearance on this car. So even, Michael, if you want to step out, it's not very, very low to the ground. It's not a slammed Honda Civic. It's a crossover. I definitely recommend winter tires, and as someone who's only ever driven front-wheel drive low and slow sedans for the winter, and I drive, about 50 kilometers almost, 45, 50 kilometers to and from work, it's fine. It's good in the winter.
And they want to know what's the reason behind the
This?
design on the headrest.
Okay, more on that when we get to the back, but essentially it's all for storage. Okay, let's talk gear shift real quick. So the gear shifter itself is a shift by wire. So essentially just foot on the brake, you'll turn it to drive, turn it to neutral, push down P for park. Very simple to use. And again, it's a regular automatic. Now your shift paddle shifters, these do two different things. If you're in eco mode, it's gonna change the amount of regen for your vehicle. So brake regen. And if you're in sport mode, it's actually gonna change the shift points. So you can play around with it and make it do multiple things, which is odd. Right, Mike?
Yeah.
Michael, you're making so many weird faces. I don't know what you're doing. Okay, heated seats, heated steering wheel, auto hold braking, and a button to select EV if you'd like your vehicle to utilize automatic mode, hybrid mode, or electric mode. So here's where things get interesting. The car obviously has the capability of driving in full EV or just driving as a hybrid. You can let the car decide what it does. You can let the car only be EV or let the car be hybrid. So if you want to save your electric energy, or your electric range I should say, for the city where it's going to be most efficient, you can certainly do so. Get all your highway driving done, then put it into EV mode when you're ready. Do you have cup holders over here? They pop out, nice and easy. And the best part about these is they fit most current water bottles, modern water bottles. I swear they keep getting bigger. And then we have our detachable storage box right over here. It's even labeled for you guys. I've never seen the label in the Niro before. We must have missed that on the PDI. All right, let's take a quick look at the back and see what we're looking at for space. We'll bring this back up. I definitely feel like I'm a little bit squirrely today. I just really miss Charlotte. All right, back here, this is how far, I guess how close to the wheel I would be sitting at if I was driving. And believe it or not, you guys, I don't sit too close to the wheel. But I have a very, very good amount of legroom, seriously a whole forearm's worth. Some space underneath the seat. Now it is a little bit raised. And then there are storage pockets behind both the driver and passenger seats. There's also air vents, integrated USB-Cs, and then the big question that you've all been waiting for, why do the seats look like that? Why do they look like they're hunchbacked? I'm so embarrassed that I did that. This is a hook, so you can utilize this to hang bags, coats, whatever you want. It's just built into the car, which is nice and handy. You don't have to get those Amazon ones that kind of clip onto the back of your headrest and look a little bit ugly. These ones just built in. The seats back here are still that synthetic leather and cloth mix. So again, like I mentioned earlier, the cloth is so nice because it really lets you sit into the seat. You kind of feel like you're becoming part of it. Very interesting feeling, but super comfortable. Then over here we have our cup holder and armrest that retracts right back. These seats both have car seat tethers and anchors. So if you do have little ones, there's plenty of space for them and obviously a spot to attach them. And then back here we have our bulb lights. And same thing up at the front. I'll grab the camera from you, Mike, just to give a quick pan again. And this might be a little bit of an awkward angle, but let's just give a quick overview. So 4.2-inch digital display for your instrument cluster. You can see your speedometer and tachometer are digitized, so that of course will adjust accordingly. Distance to empty at the very top. And then we have on the bottom left our fuel gauge and battery gauge on the bottom right. There is a little, I don't know if you can see just to the bottom left of Eco in the very middle, we have our icon for our lane departure, and then below that our speed limit assist. So this car will read out the speed limit of the road that you're on, whether it's city, highway, whatever it could be, and will warn you essentially if you're going over. Don't worry, you can shut that off. 10 1/4 inches in the very center, air vents, hazard lights, your flippable climate and infotainment cluster, some USBs and USB-Cs, wireless phone charger, start button, a little bit of piano black. I will say, not a little bit, there's a lot of piano black. If you are purchasing this vehicle, definitely keep a microfiber cloth somewhere in the car because that might drive you nuts. And then we have an electronic parking brake. Very, very nice. You can see me a little bit there, and then your mirror. And then up at the top, we have our light controls, our tow truck button, and our SOS button. So those are going to be utilized for emergency services. If the car detects you've been in a collision, it'll automatically call emergency services. And if you just need roadside assistance for whatever reason, it's complimentary for 5 years, unlimited kilometers all throughout North America. So the car has got your back. Michael, can you come back with the iPad? Thanks. And then Michael is not, I don't know, he hasn't been on one of the videos for a while.
Nope.
No? Okay, come back. All right, so let's see what you guys have to say. I feel like there's definitely a lot more to talk about on this car. And again, my biggest thing with this vehicle is you need to stop forgetting about it. A lot of people don't realize this is in Kia's lineup at all. And I don't understand why it's such a fantastic vehicle.
Yeah, well, it's nice because you can actually fit people here.
Yeah.
I had a customer yesterday, and he was 6'3", and he was very surprised this space because on the outside, if you're looking at the Kia Niro, it's like, oh, it's a really small, but as soon as you step inside and actually sit down, you actually get a lot of like headroom and the space. Now, I'm not very tall, but back here, the seats all the way back. I have a lot of room.
Yeah. I will also say, oh, sorry, Tim is saying, remember, we have 2024 Niros available for immediate delivery. Please message our team. Yes, we do have Niros for immediate delivery. If you're in Ontario, Canada, we are a dealership. We're not just a YouTube channel, and we do not sell over MSRP. We do not add markup to our cars. So give us a call. Come take one for a drive. See the Niro for yourself. It's an impressive car, a really nice car. King Bob said, great job, Michael.
Thank you.
The 911 Beast said, do you plan on improving the stream quality to at least 1080p? So the stream quality is difficult because when you're live streaming, all of it's dependent on the stability of the internet connection. Obviously, we are a dealership, so there's people working here. It gets a little rough sometimes, but also where we're based, we don't have the option for fiber connection yet, fiber optic connection. It is coming soon though, and Pat has already contacted them, so we should be getting it very shortly. And hopefully that improves things. Okay, I wanted to talk a little bit about the actual fuel efficiency of this vehicle. So when you're operating with electric range and gas, you can expect 2.8 liters per 100 kilometers equivalent. So it's a little tricky when you're comparing the both, but that is incredible. And then when you're operating on just gasoline, so I'm talking you're not plugging your vehicle in, 4.7?
I think it was 4.4 because I was checking it out yesterday.
That's, okay, yes.
Yeah.
There you go. 4.4, that is insane.
Yes, it is. Well,
like very good.
Especially with the price of gas now, it's
Yep.
a little bit more difficult. It's easier in your pocket because, you know, $50, $40 in gas gets you 800.
No, I was right. It's 4.8.
4.8?
I just double checked. 4.8
4.8
liters per 100
4.4.
kilometers.
I
That's
was
just
reading-
the regular hybrid,
Ah,
non-plug-in
regular.
hybrid.
Okay.
So all of the extra components that go into a plug-in hybrid versus just a regular hybrid is only creating that little, about 0.4 liters per 100 kilometers of a difference between the two.
That is crazy.
Yes, exactly. So really nice to see there. And like I said earlier, with the full tank, full charge, you can expect 835 kilometers of range. So not getting gas, not plugging it in for that long or that far of a drive. I guess it could also change based off your efficiency, but that's pretty good. I think this is the ultimate road trip car.
I think so too, because the back, you can fit a lot of things back there. It depends on, of course, if you're going out with a lot of your friends, you can stuff duffel bags back there. But yeah.
Yeah, I think I have to do a camping trip in a Kia Niro. I think that's
I feel like that would
coming
be
soon.
very interesting.
Let's see. I'm just going up to the top to see what we may have missed. Ryan's on, so he is holding stuff down. Someone said the steering wheel looks feminine, and okay. Some people not saying they like the color and asking if it was the free color. Now, no, this is called steel gray, and it is not a complimentary color. Here for Kia in North America, all of our black cars are waived of the paint charge. Typically, our paint charge is about $250, but when you get into some of our cars that have the matte specialty paint, it's usually between $1,500 to $3,000 of an upcharge for the matte paint. And that's not an option on the Niro anyway, but let me just tell you, matte paint, more money and more work. It really has to look good to you to justify the cost for it. Absolutely.
It's very finicky to
Super
clean
finicky.
as well, so you have to be really careful.
Tim's gonna find the video of Kim driving the Audi R8. And on that note, maybe we should end off today's video. Blair did ask what the wait time is for a Niro Plug-In Hybrid. It's a little bit tricky right now. I would probably say between 4 to 6 months. Now, if there's a specific color that you're looking for anyone who's watching this in the future, please give us a contact and we can let you know if we have anything incoming that matches what you're looking for. But yeah, I think other than that, if you guys have any questions about the vehicle specifically, let us know because we're happy to help you out. Whether you're planning to buy from us or you're just curious, we're here to help.
Absolutely.
Is that all, Mike?
Yes, I think that's everything.
Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you in our next video. Bye. I can't end it.